What is going on, everybody? So it's been a minute since we've been able to do a What's That About video. I haven't done a movie review. It's been a few months. I think the last one we did that we really got in on was that the Marine movie by John Cena. Oh man, that was something terrible. If you want to check that movie out, look somewhere up here or probably up here. I'll drop that link for it. That movie was volatile. That movie was so terrible. So we got a movie today that I'm going to be talking about. It's not as bad as The Marine, not nearly as bad. It actually had a little bit of a charm to it when it first came out and when I was a little boy when I saw it. That movie is Home Alone 3. The holidays just passed. We're well into the new year. We're getting adjusted to 2022. I've been meaning to go over this one, but was having some complications. So I want to go over this particular movie and just poke fun at some of the things that I saw in the movie, and we just hang out for a little while. So normally these film settings, I think the first two were set in Chicago with Macaulay Culkin, and I wasn't a fan of him at all. So I really didn't watch those two as much as I watched this one. But this starts off in Hong Kong, which is nowhere near Chicago. So these guys, the antagonists, they're at this weapons plant over in Hong Kong. They're meeting up with this weapons dealer, or this guy he's wanting a missile that can be controlled by a computer chip. There's a defense system or defense weapons plant that is going to manufacture that chip for them. This guy standing over here in this beige looking suit is going to be the guy that's going to deliver that particular chip to him. This is Axis, the defense technology company. So one of their employees is meeting them at this pier here, and so one of their employees from Axis is getting ready to meet the group of antagonists here at this port to make the exchange. They arrive, makes the exchange for the chip in exchange for however much money. They get back in the car and they have an idea to put the microchip inside of this remote control car out of all the items that they could have chose. And I guess since it's the holidays and people are traveling with gifts, they figured, no one would suspect this. And there's probably already some sort of chip inside of the car. So they figured, wouldn't nobody really suspect anything. Conveniently, this is able to fit just right inside of the remote control car. Like, what was the likelihood? Like, it actually clicked in place, like this was built for this movie. Look at that, just perfectly in place. So these guys, they have the chip and they're at the airport. For some odd reason, they chose to use one of the bags that you purchase from the airport. This little plastic bag that just about everybody else in the airport has. They get to, the counter and everything, and they're checking their luggage, and this lady accidentally picks up their bag, which is confusing to me because she's ahead of them. So her bag should be somewhere already on the counter, but she picked that up as if she mixed it up. There's not two of those bags. So where's hers? I didn't even think about that. Also, look at this black girl right here. I have a feeling that she got dressed, did her hair, her makeup, all of that, jewelry, accessories. I feel like she did all of that without looking into the mirror. I feel like she did all that without looking into the mirror. Like, I feel like she knew she looked good. Like, she just knew it. Like, she went, got dressed, and was like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew I looked good. I knew it. But that part was confusing to me. Like, you're ahead of them, so your bag should be ahead of their bag. How did their bag get ahead of yours, and where did yours go? You obviously have a bag just like theirs if you assume that this is theirs, this is yours. So that was confusing to me. So they get their bag and they're starting to realize something's off. This isn't our bag. They pull it out and it looked like it's a loaf of bread or something like that. So they had to spread out through the entire airport. The entire airport. Which is even more so confusing to me because you covered the entire airport. Like, there's so many places that bag could go in such a short amount of time at an airport. And they went around and checked what seemingly was like 3 bags. One of the guys checked this bag in a very obvious way. Like, how are you not alerting people? Just peeking, like, let me see, is this my bag? Is that my bag? The leader, he's looking at the terminal screen and trying to figure out, I don't know what he's trying to figure out. There's so many possibilities of what could be happening right now. How is this looking at the screen helping you in any way? This particular scene, this lady calls out, young man, literally says young man out loud. And she's calling for one of the cart drivers. The cart driver that she called for is this guy. This guy in his red vest who looks like he's possibly the same age as her. She should have just said, man. Same aged man. Like, that's all she needed to say. So right now he's connecting the dots and figuring out in his head that the only plane that's now boarding should be the plane that she's on, because we've checked the entire airport for every Parisian bag that we could possibly find. Is that how it's pronounced? Parisian? Parisian? Parisian. Parisian. Who knows? So of course that's the Chicago flight, 10:20 a.m. now boarding. So they go and check that flight. So they're over there and yep, they end up locating her directly, like right away. Now the movie sort of confused me because it didn't showcase them getting tickets for that flight. It didn't showcase any of that. How do you know that you was even going to be able to get on that flight if that flight was already booked? You know, how did y'all just, what was y'all original flights set to go? It just showed them looking at her, freaking out, and then all of a sudden they're in Chicago. Then the next scene that shows them chasing her outside into a taxi cab. So I was a little confused on that scene. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but it just looks like they saw her, freaked out, and then ran outside to a taxi. So she pulls off, and this guy pulls out a spy cam on his hand and took a picture of the car with this camera on his glove. How did you manage to get past security with a glove that has a camera on it? Like, that was confusing. Took a picture of the taxi cab and the car number, and they followed it all the way to the taxi cab, the taxi cab hub station. Guy gets out of the car, they approached him, asked him about, the whereabouts. The fact that he even remembered the lady that he dropped off, where he dropped her off at, how the neighborhood looked, what driveway, what was in the driveway was beyond me. Like, the fact that he remembered all that, this movie could have been over if he simply would have just been who he is. Old. Just be old. You ruined it. He's just like, what? I can see now. What? I can't hear you? Oh yeah, I remember that was from 10:30 this morning. I dropped her off on Shea Bay Avenue, and it's just like, bro, how do you even remember all this? Then we get to the protagonist, Alex. This kid is outside at what seems to be 11:30 at night, shoveling somebody's driveway. And he's every bit of like 3. Is that why it's Home Alone? Yeah, that's why it's Home Alone 3, because he's 3 years old. Shoveling snow at 3 in the morning. I got it now. Got it. This lady looks like she's a ruler or a dictator of a small planet. I always thought earrings were supposed to like be an accessory that made you like look better. It may, it sort of accentuated certain things and make you look prettier to a degree. And it's just like, You could have left those earrings off, you know. You could have left those off. So of course, like just the how everything had to connect for this moment. The fact that this lady reached and grabbed the bag that was supposed to be behind her bag. She grabbed the bag, didn't realize that, hey, this is like not mine. This is heavier. This is shaped different. This doesn't feel like a loaf of bread. This feels like a whole box. The fact that she didn't even catch on to that was nuts. The fact that she didn't catch on to it all the way until she got home, and all the way until after he shoveled her, you know, her driveway at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then she's just like, you know what? I ain't got no other people in my family, you know, because I'm obviously an alien from a different planet. I ain't got no other siblings or people with children. I'm gonna give this toy to you, random boy across the street shoveling my driveway. And then he heads on home. I'm not understanding. I get it. It's a private neighborhood, and you know, and then he walking like he just got off like a 14-hour shift. So did he shovel everybody's driveway? How much money did he make today? You got all this electricity that you have to use in order to just simply dump fish flakes into the bowl. This thing was stupid because he's in his room and he's sitting on his bed and he's dribbling the basketball. But he's just like, he's not like practicing, trying to get better. He's not focusing in on it. He's just looking off into space like, what? He's just looking off like he's daydreaming like, yeah, I'm about to dunk it on everyone. And then all the girls will love me. I'll be the envy of the school. Like, what are you doing? Then there's like his brother's cricket is just randomly on the floor. And this boy got a pair of, what is that, British Knights? Some Reeboks? And this boy just dribbling the ball, like just looking around. So of course he dribbles the ball, hits the cricket, kills it. But I'm trying to figure out what type of Nickelodeon, nick type of cricket is this? And then he felt good about that. Like his whole little daydream is complete now. Like he wanted to dribble the ball, slam dunk on imaginary people in his head, kill a bug, and then like that was it. That was the plan. So the little brother went into the bathroom, and I guess he has chicken pox. So he was checking himself, and he realized he had it everywhere. So he screamed, and everybody's in the house's response was puzzling to, I don't know, like puzzling, but it was just weird to me. Black Widow is in the movie, Johannesburg. Alex slammed the toilet seat down on his thing again, and she said it with a smile. Like, why? What? Also, he's 3. How are you slamming the toilet seat down on your thing and you're 3? Ain't no baby, that's a porn star. The bird gets in on it, says bullseye. Everybody's celebrating this boy hurting his private area. What is happening here? I had nothing to do with this. I'm innocent. Why would you ever have something to do with the toilet seat being slammed on this boy's private at any point in time? Why would you ever have anything to do with that? The dad's on the phone, he's cooking, says, yeah, I gotta go. My kid slammed the toilet seat on his thing again. Why does everybody have to rush to this area? Why does everybody have to chime in on this? It was odd. So they're talking about him having chicken pox and it's all over his body. His sister replies, would that include his buttock region? Look at her face. Look at Black Widow's face afterwards. Why are you so turned on about this? His family is weird. So he's in bed. He's, you know, he done ran a fever. He got the chicken pox because he's been out shoveling snow at 3 in the morning. So he got the chicken pox. He rings the bell for his mother to come upstairs and I guess answer to whatever call he has a cup of water on a remote control car and slides it over to her. My mama would have kicked that car over, knocked the glass over, and made me go pick it up and get my own drink. That's how that would have went. And she looking like she want to do the same thing, but nope. She goes and gets his drink. This part was stupid because this is one of the antagonists. I forgot her name. But some kind of way, they located the city that the boy stayed in, located the general area, and found a home that was available for purchase and landed it within that short amount of time. The boy probably barely even opened the box. And they didn't manage to find a place, landed it, beat out all the other competitors for their offers just so they can get close to this doggone chip, and gave her a terrible wig and to do it. Like, jeez. So I thought this was a little strange. He's in his brother's room. He goes under his bed and there's a ammunitions box under the bed. And I'm like, how did his brother even get this? Where do you have access to be able to even get one of these for yourself? And got a little padlock on it, like he really protecting something in here. The boy pulls out one of his rifles. It looks like a BB gun rifle. This other part was a little puzzling to me as well. The antagonist thought it was a good idea to go into that neighborhood and steal a dog from somebody who belonged to that neighborhood and use the dog to walk around the neighborhood so that they can blend in as if they belong to that neighborhood without those neighbors figuring out my dog is missing, and then there's somebody out here driving around and walking around with a dog that look a lot like mine. Also, what made y'all think that this dog was gonna be friendly? What if it wasn't? What would you have done? You would have to go to your local PetSmart. I'm not understanding how nobody caught you. This is so stupid to me. And then had the nerve to buy a leash for it. So the little boy is looking through a telescope, sees the bad guy in somebody else's house. He gets alert, notifies the police. The police dispatch a couple of officers out. They arrive at the scene, but they bust in and arrive just a little too late. The bad guys already got away. And clearly the officer is pissed. But the little boy been telling them like, hey, I saw this guy. These people was in the neighborhood. They didn't look familiar. Something wasn't quite right about them. They also stole the neighbor's dog, so I called the cops. Everybody ignored all of that information and just was like, what? You call the cops? Don't call the cops. My thing is this. If the boy's telling you he saw something that seemed a little out of the ordinary, maybe have a squad car or, a non-emergency, a municipal police officer or something like that to that degree, kind of sit out in that neighborhood. Because from what I hear, it's a private neighborhood. I thought it was gated. Maybe have the security officer that's there to kind of keep an eye out for just random people walking around with strollers and dogs and, equipment that they're not supposed to have. So the next day, the boys see him again in somebody else's house, a different house this time. And of course, he's alert, calls the police. And this time he ended up letting his mom know by paging her, letting his dad know by paging him, and then the police was dispatched. So he had wasted time paging those two and then notifying the police. Police arrived, hop on the scene, they find nothing. Or they thought they didn't find anything. How? How are you up here? How are you doing this? How did you not see him? He was just like, yep, it's a lot of nothing down here. But how though? Got to have seen this sweaty criminal sitting up there. So the boy feels bad because the police arrived again, but to no avail, didn't catch anybody. So the brother and sister are giving him a hard time. Understandable, but just the things that they were saying was odd. It says, now that you've pranked the cops twice, it goes on your permanent record. For the rest of your life, if you call for help, it won't come. Dad missed his plane. He was late for a meeting with his boss. We have to fork over much needed family cash to the Steffens. The world laughs, Alex. You stain the family name. What are we doing? It's a little boy. It's a 3-year-old boy who's been shoveling snow since 3 a.m. That's the reason he caught the chicken pops in the first place. Chicken pox. Did I say pops? Gotta have my pops. Oh my gosh. Even the bird gets in on the joke. Parrot crackles. Come on, man. Don't cackle at the little boy. This thing was odd. The mom's driving down the street. This lady's running with the dog. She's running in the neighborhood. She's never been seen before, but the dog is very familiar because it belongs to the neighbor. Runs, and she can see the car. She can see it because it's right in her line of sight. The mom driving is looking straight ahead, so she can possibly not see you. But you can see her. Runs straight out, almost gets hit. The mom looks at her like, what the hell is going on? She rolls down the window and says, I'm sorry. The lady with the dog leans onto her car, very creepy like, and says, have a nice day. And the mom says, I'll try. Rolls up her window, and the mom is already back going on about her day. Like, she's just like, Meanwhile, this serial killer right here is still staring at you through the window. She looking at her like, who told you to roll that window back up? I'm just not understanding how no one is onto this. Little 3-year-old boy is catching on to it though, but no one else is. Also, this girl looks like a candy cane that's about to go to the gym. So this boy managed to get a camera. Some kind of way he spliced it, hooked it up to the TV, got it to backfeed some sort of way, and hooked it up to a remote control car. And he's able to get a live feed from the remote control car back to the TV. How? He's 3 years old. Activates the remote control car and sends it over to the house that he believes that the crooks are located in. Let's just go ahead, give it up for probably the best actor in this film is this remote control car. And like, we'll see a little later on why. I mean, arguably, this is the best actor in this entire film. So the car is getting ready to infiltrate this house, gets inside, and locates the criminal. Criminal is right here. Instead of using that, bagging out, and bringing the footage back, notifying the police, not sending the police there, but just bring the police to your house so that you can show them the footage. No, we don't do that. We stick around. This guy manages to catch on that the car is in the room and jumps right in front of the camera. Like dives on the floor, boom, right in front of the camera. You're a criminal and you're in somebody else's house. The last thing you want to do is have your face right in front of the camera. Then he says out loud on camera, I have it. The toy car. Reaches up like this to grab the toy car and misses completely. The toy car reverses, spins out of there, manages to get out of the house, but it flips over. The man gets out the house, grabs the toy car, takes the recording tape out, but didn't get the chip, which was so confusing. Gave the car to somebody else and told her to get the chip out. But if y'all are looking for this car this bad where y'all done bought a house, y'all bought a house, broke into somebody else's house and then they stole a dog, finally get the car that has a chip, and you grab the cassette tape. He grabs the tape, hands the car over to the girl. The boy turns the car back on. The car literally runs her over and she drops the car. This car lands on all fours and gets out of there. He's heading towards the fence and I'm like, well, what is he gonna do? This is a wooden fence. It's a remote control car. There's nothing he can do. Oh yeah, there's something he can do. He's gonna bust out of there and create a Hulk-sized hole in the wall. Bro, you gotta give it up for this car. This is the best actor. He's putting on the best show. This dude is running on foot after a remote control car and is failing to keep up. Has the chance because the car is now getting out of range and the boy is no longer able to control it with the remote unless he goes around the entire house and gets closer. So this guy has a moment where he's able to catch the car and the movie is over. If he gets the car, rips that thing open, gets the chip, and they get out of there, which they probably could have, that's the movie. That's it. We would have to have a Home Alone 3 Part 2. Instead, he does this. He decides to do a Rob Van Dam frog splash and misses the car. Car gets away. Then there's a part where the van driver, he locates the car and decides to try and run the car over, but there's a chip inside that y'all need. So if you destroy this chip, what are we doing? The movie's over. And we have to have a Home Alone 3 Part 2. This boy is an excellent driver and operator of this RC remote control car. I mean, let's just acknowledge it. The skill and the precision to drive and handle this bad boy under extreme circumstance. I mean, and this boy in this remote control car got everybody in this town wheeling. You got this van driver swerving all over the place. This guy running out an alley. This guy posted in another alley looking for him. Some kind of way the boy then got the remote control car to jump over one fence, flying mid-air over the van into another yard, back into his yard, looks like. Like I said, man, let's just clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up for RC, man. He did his thing. That is the best acting performance in this film. Clap it up for him. So he opens up the remote control car and the microchip falls out. Now this kid has the intelligence at the age of 3, it seems like, to read the back of the microchip, realize that it doesn't belong in this car, finds out that it belongs to the US Air Force, contacts the lower chain of command, because that's the one that's going to probably be more so open to the general public, to inform them on what's going on so they can contact the higher chains of command. This kid is smart, yo. Like, for him to be 3 years old, this kid's intelligent. The bad guys are in this scene and they're discussing like what went wrong, like how did we just walk into that debacle, who's on to us, what's going on. The girl just automatically says, it's a kid, it has to be a kid. How did you make that assumption? Like, how did you even piece that together? You guys got dispatched one by one by a 3-year-old, but how would you even have connected that dot? She said the cop comes twice. They don't believe the kid. He takes matter into his own hands. It can't be anything else. But how would you know? How did you know any of that? I don't remember a part where they just knew it was a kid that, I don't know, they did have surveillance, so maybe they can figure out that it was a kid that was tipping them off. That seemed like a reach to come up with, you know, but they do have like surveillance and they could have some deeper intel on who made the calls, but still. Then there's this scene where they pretend to be one of the neighbors, the Clovises, and asks Alex, does Alex have the remote control car? The mom asks him, do you know a Bradley Clovis? Now this puzzled me because Bradley Clovis, I'm assuming, is their son, the neighbor's son. How would the neighbors know what phone number to call? How would they know your phone number if they weren't familiar with you? She's speaking like, I don't know if they have a son or not. Do you know if they have a son? Do you have his remote control car? I just thought that was kind of odd that y'all had each other's phone number and you called me in the middle of the night asking if my son has a remote control car. But she's talking as if she doesn't know they even have a son. This is his mother on the phone. Did you take a toy car from him? And of course he freaks out because he's just like, okay, he knows exactly what this is. It was just odd how they had every adult that wasn't using common sense, in this film, and this 3-year-old boy here was figuring out everything on his own. So he realized that the bad guys are on to him, so he booby traps the entire home. I'm talking about he set something up in the elevators. He's getting toolboxes and he's setting up stuff for the swimming pool. He got fireworks. He's doing, he's nailing up boards and doorways. He's setting up booby traps in the attic, using old bookcases, setting up weights on the roof, disassembling water guns, and spray painting them. Now, what caught my attention here is how terrible this first layer of paint is. This is killing me that no one in this neighborhood is noticing that their dog is missing, but at the same time, the dog is found because somebody else who don't belong in the neighborhood is walking him around. The dog isn't freaking out in any way, and it's just killing me. So the mom is getting ready to go to work and leave him at home once again, alone. This is what, the third time? Is that why it's called Home Alone 3? Because she leaves him at home 3 times? He's continuing to booby trap the house. He's setting up something with the pool right now. How this boy know how to operate this riding lawnmower, it's killing me as well. Doing some more construction. This kid, the engineering acuity of this kid. He's 3. Moving plywood out of the way, setting up traps upstairs. Now, this is inside the older son's bedroom. How is this in here? I don't know. How did you sneak this in your house? Does your parents never come in your room at all and look anywhere? How do you have this in your room and your parents don't know anything about this? Also, who covered it up? It's killing me that this boy has on a pair of Ugg boots. He's in the middle of the street and he's cutting down the street sign in the middle of the neighborhood. Like, the fact that no one sees, hears, notices this has to be the stupidest city ever. Like the stupidest little neighborhood ever. So there's this part where they infiltrate the old lady, I think Mrs. Hess was her name. They infiltrate her house. They caught her going inside of her garage and like kind of was asking her some questions, made their way inside. And she closed the door behind her. She turns around and says, "Why are you closing the door?" Her response was, "I left my heart in San Francisco." What type of response is that? I left my heart in San Francisco. Ma'am, that has nothing to do with why you just closed my door and you don't pay no bills here. We finna have problems. So these dudes are at the boy's house trying to infiltrate his house, and he just decides to randomly, out in the open, out in this neighborhood where this isn't your home, you don't belong, and decides he wants to sit. And of course he pays for it. His partner over in the front yard just takes out a pair of wire cutters and wants to cut down a wire. I mean, you can see that it's wire. It's wrapped in, in something else, but you can clearly see that it's wire. And so he gets shocked as well. Another thing that was catching my attention was they had on shotgun shell belts. They had like a belt just full of shotgun shells. And neither one of these guys had shotguns. Like, he has a belt and this guy has a belt. No shotguns in sight. And I was just, I was confused by that. And what is with these outfits? These guys are acting like they're in the tundras or something like that. So in this clip here, this guy hair, is fried. He's getting shocked and his hair does a goofy looking thing here. That's cool. And then in the very next clip, his hair is back to normal, or at least it's trying to be. So he's had enough, and he figured he would take a running start and try to jump over the wires to get into the house. Lands on the rug. There's marbles under the rug, of course, and just face plants right into the front door. I think it was at this moment he realized like how stupid this plan is. So the leader of the group was noticing that there was a string attached to the door knocker, and he ended up cutting it with a knife. From there released like this huge bookshelf or this huge chest that's attached to a motorcycle, comes out of the window, lands on these two idiots. Meanwhile, this guy is walking around and there's a random hook on a fishing line or on a string just dangling in the backyard. The likelihood of whoever these guys are walking in the backyard at this exact spot and not seeing it or walking into it blindly is so small. He feels a tug, and instead of just looking and removing the hook, just turns into an idiot, and he's walking back and forth doing like karate and all that. The string is attached to a water hose over here. And so he ends up pulling the string, the water hose goes off, and instead of just stepping to the side, he wants to fight the water straight up for no reason. It's snow outside, it's cold, water spraying on you, just step to the side. You ain't gotta try to fight the water. So those two bad guys got hit with the bookshelf. It's a set of weights. It's a set of weights that was sitting on top of the roof. Now, this is what puzzled me. The set of weights was sitting on the roof, and the bookshelf or the book or the chest full of books fell out of the window right by it and didn't knock it over. I thought that was really interesting how it didn't knock over those weights all at once, and that those weights was being held up by this string right here. So he cuts it, weights fall, and of course hits these guys perfectly in the head. Like, they didn't step forward to try to knock on the door or pick the lock, none of that. They stood right here. This trap only works if everybody's standing perfectly in certain spots. Again, I ask, why is this neighborhood so trash? Look at all these people. All these people at this house that don't belong in this neighborhood. All this trash and debris that they've caused. You got weights and a bookshelf. You got broken glass. You got a window that just got shattered. Two guys that got freaking electrocuted. How is it that nobody in this neighborhood is catching on to any of this? This guy sneaks around, opens this door to see this, and instead of like moving to the side or ducking, let's just stand right here and get hit with somebody's dad's Fruit of the Looms. God, it's so embarrassing, yo, that you get hit with Fruit of the Looms with a balloon in it. He launched his mug and he just stood there and braced his face. So this girl's going around back trying to get inside the house. Boom, sticks her hand straight into some flooring adhesive. This guy's peeking through the mail slot for no reason and talking trash. You can run, but you can't hide, Junior. Why you calling him Junior? I don't get it. Little boy pulls out a can of spray paint, and then he looks surprised like, oh, what are you looking surprised for? You looking through the mail slot talking and mumbling, and then you look surprised when somebody's wondering why you're there. So the little boy sprayed him in his face, and then the guy decides to use a saw with a loud motor to cut through the door. Yet and still, nobody in the neighborhood is catching on to any of this. So she gets tired of struggling with the floor adhesive, decides to jump over the gate, lands straight into like this whole pond of mud. And perfectly, there's a flower pot that just clunks her right on top of the head, and she falls face down into the mud. This guy's snuck his way into the garage, and he got a glimpse of a couple of legs and a pair of shoes. This is the couple of legs and the pair of shoes that he got a glimpse of. Now, this was puzzling to me because clearly either these are fake or these belong to a 45-year-old man and not a little boy. He looks and he gets happy like, oh yeah, I got him. All this noise, all these gunshots and windows being broken, and somebody's just in the garage chilling. Sneaks up on the legs and yells, I got him! and grabs the legs. It should be at this point where he realized, oh, these legs are fake. These are fake legs. I thought these were human legs, but turns out they're not. And even if not the legs, at least the monkey stuffed animal that's attached to it should give it away a little. But no, he's determined to make this be a real person. He finally gets the doll down, and I guess at this point he realized like, oh, you're not a real person. You're a stuffed animal. Yeah. My thing is this too. What type of stuffed animal is this? This animal is at least 6'2". Why would you need a stuffed animal in a full suit with a hat This animal looks homeless. It looked like it drinks country club vodka regularly. Look at this suit, the shoes. What is this? The lawnmower is started when he pulls the doll as hard as he pulls it. The lawnmower started. And this is the type of lawnmower that it is. So I could imagine this being extremely dangerous, and extremely heavy. The lawnmower falls down from up on the upper level, right on top of this dude's head. But we'll come back to that. This girl's in the backyard still, completely covered in mud from top to bottom. She tries to take a step and move forward, falls again. Now she's on her back, and another pot. And this time the flower pot is just positioned perfectly for her face. This is the haircut. This was the result of the lawnmower falling down on this guy. Not dead, you know. That should be the only result when a lawnmower that looks like that falls on your head. Dead should be the only result. And this guy's result was haircut. Hideous haircut, but haircut nonetheless. This idiot opens a window, trying to sneak into the house once again. Idiot. This dude literally cut out 2 huge half circles on this door, and no one in the neighborhood hears any of this. Also, if you look up top, there's a string attached to the top of the door that's going into the closet. That's going to pull this doll string, and the doll's going to make a little noise. So the guy is going to look towards that closet and of course open it, and this this little booby trap with a boxing glove attached to it is going to be waiting for him. He looks over and cocks his shotgun, readies the shotgun. What are you getting ready to do? Why are you guys so loud? Why are you guys in a public neighborhood, in a residential area, with shotguns? What are y'all planning to do? If the boy has the chip on him, you're gonna blow him and the chip away and give up your position. Everybody in the neighborhood should hear this. So he opens the door, and of course, you know, he gets hit with the boxing glove booby trap, catches him square, and this shotgun is on him. He falls down to the floor. Shotgun goes off twice. This boy is making this face because he just blew his balls off. This guy's gonna persevere. He's gonna try to get into the house again, only to step in. First of all, are those UGG boots? Why is this grown man wearing UGG boots though? I just don't get that. Right into the floor adhesive, 2 buckets of it. So just sit there for a while. Haircut guy is got a ladder set up going up to the upper levels to infiltrate the house. Gets up there to see the boy, gets excited and jumps forward, but the boy then moved plywood out the way to where this guy just falls straight through the floor, and he falls for what seems to be forever. It felt like he fell for like 5 floors. They always catch these little frames of them falling, and it's just like, nah, you're not falling with that kind of a face. I mean, this should have killed him. Just the impact alone. Lands on the toilet. You're supposed to be dead. You should be dead. No matter how you land, you fall 4 or 5 floors above to a porcelain toilet, you should be dead. This young lady is covered front to back in mud and looks like a human oil change. She is figured out that he did something with the steps. How? I don't know. I don't even know what made her look at that. So her thought process is she's going to balance herself on the rails to get up the steps. She go ahead and starts, balances herself, kicks her legs forward, and of course she's bodied. So then she has a mindset to try to do like a little somersault flip thing to flip onto the steps. Hits a little flip move, and she makes it. And this is the face she makes after she makes it, which just lets you know, like, you better be salty once again. Walks forward, and then the flooring comes up behind her, clucks her in the back of the head. She falls through. This guy hears her get bodied, and like, what is that? He walks outside and he falls through the floor too. Johnny Numbnuts over here is getting ready to walk down to the basement where he just heard all of that collision. So of course, with this thing having wheels on it, going down the steps is going to be a challenge. So he falling down the steps, ends up running into the deep freezer, catches his hand in a trap. And in the movie, if you ever get a chance to watch this movie, his pistol looks like it has a silencer on it. But when he fires it accidentally, it makes a very loud and audible gunshot. So I thought that was a little off. I don't think they pay attention to that detail. So in this scene, the bad guy's walking up to this phone that's ringing, and he sets his gun down. Right next to his gun, under the coat, is another gun. It's the gun that should be like a water gun or a bubble gun that belongs to Alex. But Alex took it apart during the booby trap montage. There should be noticeable weight differences in between each gun. That bubble gun looked like it was made out of like yellow and purple plastic or orange plastic. There's no way that you should pick that gun up and mistaken it for your real gun. Sets his gun down, answers the phone, and he ends up picking up the gun that doesn't belong to him, the gun that isn't his. Yeah, it was yellow and orange plastic. I'm not sure how he mistaken that gun for his. There should be a noticeable weight difference. In this scene, the boy hides in the closet and he jumps inside of this bag. The bad guy is sitting right there, and I thought that was a stupid move because he could have just easily looked over in the bag. The whole movie is over with now. And he even peeks his head up to be stupid and just look up for no reason. Here in this scene, the FBI agents had went to his school to inform the parent that, hey, your son might be in danger. We just got a call that he has in his possession a microchip that belongs to the US government. So he may be in danger. The mom said he is not here, he's at home. Immediately, the officer says, all right, well, let's move, which means that they're getting ready to leave where they're at right now and immediately head towards their son because, as he said, he may be in danger. Let's move. They wanted to, I guess, stay here for a little while and have him talk and explain what's going on while their son's in danger. And the son here, I guess, puts his foot down and says, she asked you a question, sir. Then the guy says, listen, we gotta go. Turns around to leave, and Black Widow runs up on the door and slams the door and says, the it that you're referring to is my little brother. We know that. We know that. When the mom said, that's my other son, is he okay? What's going on? And he said he's in danger. That's it. He already was able to gather that that's you guys' little brother or other brother. So he wasn't clueless to that fact. And he was trying to leave immediately to get to him. So I thought that was stupid. Also, I feel like this is kind of how the mom looks somewhat the entire movie. Like, it's constant scenes where she's making this, I don't know what type of face this is. It looked like she's worried, concerned. I don't know what this face is, but she make this face like at least 78 times. I was confused as to why this part was in here. Why did they have to put this fake lady inside of the shower? What was that supposed to do? I guess cause a little bit of a diversion, but that's a heck of a diversion. So the boy gets outside, and instead of just getting somewhere safe and not letting anyone know that he left the house, he decides to turn around and yell out, you're not gonna find me up there, you big dumb law-breaking knuckleheads. Why did you do this? There was no reason to do this. But okay, it is a reason, because he wanted the couple of the bad guys to somehow forget that there were stairs that they had just climbed up and jump out the window into the pool. So they're up here on the ledge looking down, and I thought this was stupid as well. Is they assumed that that's how he got down. They assumed that this little boy jumped from that high, landed on the trampoline safely, and then got off and walked over there to make that announcement, but failed to look at the trampoline and how perfectly untouched it is in a matter of seconds. If a kid jumps off the house, there's going to be a whole print of a child on that trampoline. So these idiots are getting ready to jump. They jump, and just the most horrible CGI or whatever they did, green screen, just horrible. Look at how he's falling. What is he doing? They fall through the trampoline and land into the pool, and thus started the Disney sequel, Frozen. So the boy has a remote control toy to walk forward with his gun facing forward, and it presses the attic button. Once that button is pressed, it alerts the female of the group, and she goes over and thinks that she can use the elevator herself. Walks over, gets inside of it, quickly realizes it has no bottom, and she falls completely to the bottom floor. And the boy made it across the street to check on Mrs. Hess, I believe her name was. And then this guy was over there waiting for him. This guy pulls the obviously fake gun from his pocket, and not realizing that there's a Nerf dart attached right in the front. This kid pulls out another bubble gun, but he managed to scare the bad guy off with this bubble gun. In this scene, you got the FBI on their way back to the house, so they got these plow trucks in front of them leading the way, and they turn around this corner and just completely obliterate somebody's minivan. I mean, just completely knocked it over. Catch the bad guys, arrest the bad guys, but there's one bad guy left. Leader decides to hide inside of this igloo in the backyard. Some kind of way the parrot and the remote control car just knew to go in here and check in here. Also, this parrot and this remote control car may be two of the best actors in this entire film. Parrot goes in there and asks this dude, "What's on your mind, monkey butt?" And this is his face. So he's trying to make a deal with the bird and just asking the bird to keep quiet and just, hush up. Bird pulls out a match because the entire room or igloo is laced with fireworks. The man reaches into his pocket, pulls out one cracker. Bird tells him to double it or nothing. He says, "I only have one." Strike. Strikes the match, turns up. Now, I was noticing here, I was just like, man, what happened to the bird? Did the bird blow itself up? But no, him and the remote control car managed to get out of there in the nick of time. The boy is reunited with his family. And then there's a part where she says that the FBI is going to award Alex with a 6-figure sum and says, which is extremely cool. What? Yeah, that's usually how 6-figure sums work. My gosh, the movie is so stupid, but it's a movie that I really enjoyed. It was a really cozy movie for me as a young boy, especially watching it during that, that holiday season. It was a breath of fresh air from the previous 2 installments, and I really enjoyed it, even though it was a little slapstick, a little goofy, didn't make any sense. It wasn't supposed to. I appreciate you guys coming and checking out the video. If you like this content, let me know in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys soon. Peace.